Let me know if you guys can hear me. According to this, I should be live. I had to mess around with my switchboard as well, so let me know how the sound is. I screwed something up yesterday, and I think I got it back where it's supposed to be, but maybe. Let's see here. I haven't seen anybody roll in yet. I am on a stream delay. Let's see what happens here. I'll pop the chat out. I also have a figure or two. Black Diamond Guns and Gears is here. Josh. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Sounds great. Yes, barely. Yes, barely what? Let's see here. I have a figure that I want to bring up. I gotta remember where I stored it. Let me know where you guys are listening from. Sound is low. Sound is low. Okay. Sound going up. Sound going up. Let's see here. You guys should see the way my files are organized right now. The last month has been pretty crazy. Nice to see a notification. Braden's channel has been having issues. Yeah, all the channels have been having issues. I know that you guys have not been getting notification. You guys have told me. Several of you have sent me emails this week after I reminded you to check your notification settings, see if everything was good. And yeah, it's a lot of you reported that things have just been changed around. We don't understand it. Have you ever thought that AI was a good idea? Giving something that has, well, right now the AI isn't that smart, but can you conceptualize giving something that is smarter than humans power over humans? The microcosm of this is YouTube. Let's see here. Hang on. I was very close to... Found it. Okay. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. I need to go get my drink. Alrighty. So we can talk about whatever you guys want today, but I have two things I would really like to speak about. The first one is we've done videos on both these topics this week, but I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to talk back and forth about this because some people just don't seem to get it. So the first thing is that we have a new nominated ATF director. I have two videos on this dude and why. Really bad pick. So you should go check those things out. His name is Cicada, whatever. Just like the bug that shows up, eats a bunch of stuff, causes lots of problems, you know, that sort of stuff. I want your best new ATF director joke. So this dude has been nominated by the Trump administration to head up the ATF. We know that it's going to be a dumpster fire. The NSSF has already said, yeah, that's our boy. Yeah. Like you can listen to anything the NSSF says. But best joke about a new ATF director. Oh, shit. Tom Grieve is here. Good to see you, buddy. If you're not familiar with Tom Grieve, then you're wrong. So check him out. Tom, put your channel in the chat there, bud. So we have a giveaway going on. Just like every week, we have a giveaway going on from First Form. Value pack of meat sticks, value pack of protein bars for the best joke about the new probable ATF director. And we'll hit that a couple times this week, or we'll hit that a couple times during today's live stream. And I will also provide you with a link that you can use if you want to help the channel out. If you take that link that I just put in the chat, then that will tell First Form that I sent you. And it generates commissions back to the channel, helps out, and they're good people. So I use the products every day. I'm literally drinking one of their energy drinks right now. So this is my post-church bump, so that we can be wired. So I wanted to dive in because I did a kind of like a one-way video this week on this ridiculousness that is the Department of Justice's response to the silencer shop lawsuit. And so I've pulled this thing up, and I wanted to dig into it a little bit deeper because there's some stuff that sounds bad in here, and it's a little bit worse than just what they said, right? So all this crap ahead of time. We've done a video on this, but basically, for those of you who are just now turning into this, the Justice Department under Pam Bondi has decided that they're going to defend the National Firearms Act. The National Gun Registry that is the National Firearms Act, we've been hammering them for the last several days on it, and it's indefensible what they've done. They've basically said that, these are weapons of war. They don't belong on our streets. They're dangerous, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we know that's all bullshit, and we're going to dig into that here in a second. But that the National Firearms Act is still lawful, even though you aren't paying the tax. People like me are paying the tax because as a 0702 federal firearms licensee, I have to pay a one-time-a-year special occupation tax to be able to deal in those. So their argument is that in order to get your SBRs from a dealer, so you want to buy a manufactured SBR, that you have to go to somebody like me to transfer it to you, and I have to pay the tax. Therefore, that means that that thing is implicated into interstate commerce, and they have the power to say, no, you have to register that thing. Basically, I have to pay the tax, and even though my tax isn't tied to any individual item, there is an overall tax that has to be paid. And then, of course, you have the machine guns and the destructive devices, that sort of stuff that kind of works in there. Hey, thanks, Tom. I appreciate you. Tom's giving me some accolades in the comments. Much appreciated. Jeffrey says, First Form is the shit. I drink them all day, every day, and I didn't have, even if they didn't have caffeine, they taste dangerously good. Yeah, in fact, they're starting to be carried at our local gas stations as well. So anybody who fills AB stuff, it looks like they will now have the energy drinks. So this one is the Screamin' Freedom. They have a whole bunch of different flavors out there, obviously, but it looks to me like at least 4 of the flavors have been being filled by AB. So anyway, so I have to pay the tax, or all your FFLs have to pay the tax. So therefore, it is, quote, as they said, presumptively constitutional for them to continue to make you register these things. There's obviously several lawsuits being put on by this. One of those is the Silencer Shop GOA lawsuit, and this is the one that we're talking about here today. So I want to sort of dig into this this thing and rehash some of the language really quick and dissect it. So let me go back to my figures here. So it was right above the definitions, wherever they, yeah, there it is. All right. Seeking to curtail armed crime, the NFA targeted particularly dangerous and easily concealable weapons. We'll come back to that. That could be used readily and efficiently by criminals. And let's see, where's the next definition start? It starts, the NFA's regulation of short barrel rifles targets a concealable weapon likely to be used for criminal purposes. The NFA's regulation of short-barreled shotguns targets weapons valued for their ability to be easily concealed to unleash devastating damage at short range. The NFA regulates weapons that are primarily weapons of war. And then to that end, the NFA has 6 categories: machine gun, short barrel rifles, short barreled shotguns, suppressors, destructive devices. They didn't put, oh, excuse me, there it is, AOWs. And this is where they talk about the businesses, the manufacturers making, the transfer and registration, all that sort of stuff. That is their argument for this. Now, here's the thing. Let's go back to that definition. Could be readily and efficiently, easily concealable weapons that could be readily and efficiently used by criminals. What kinds of weapons are routinely used by criminals in this country? The vast majority of firearms crime, or crime committed with a firearm, are committed with handguns, not rifles, not short barrel rifles, not short barrel shotguns, not shotguns, not machine guns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, on down the line. Concealable, readily used by criminals. All handguns in the United States meet that definition. So what this ridiculous attorney general has just done is outlined an argument for banning anything. If we continue, sorry, I gotta switch back to my figures. Short barrel rifles likely to be used for criminal purposes. Concealable weapon likely to be used for criminal purposes. That sounds like a handgun. Short-barreled shotguns, valued for the ability to be easily concealed and unleash devastating damage at short range. Can you define for me any firearm that exists that, if fired at close range and hitting someone in the right spot, would not classify as devastating damage? What is this? It's almost like the Attorney General has been playing, like, I don't know, Goldeneye or something like that. And there's the bar that goes across the top of the screen. Or now that I think about it, it's actually things that go along this when you get injured on that one. It's got kind of like a viewfinder. It's like she's playing Halo or something like that. And devastating damage means that the health bar goes down a whole lot. Look, if you walk up to somebody with a concealable .22 pistol and put one in their parietal bone, they're dead. I don't think that it gets any more devastating than one-shot drop. So you could argue that a .22, when used properly, a .22 pistol is concealable and devastating at close range. This Department of Justice has just opened the can of worms for the next administration. If this argument passes muster in the courts, then they have opened the door for an argument to ban anything in this country through the exercise of a tax. Insidious is the word that I would use. The mask has slipped. They have taken it and they flipped it across the room. They'll put Harmeet, I guarantee you this week sometime, they'll put Harmeet Dillon up on X or something like that to talk about how everybody's taken out of context and they need more time and all that sort of shit like that. And I did a video yesterday, a short, where I basically overlaid the stuff that she was talking about a month ago and what they were going to do and how they were going to do it and all that sort of stuff. And it turns out it was an exact mirror image of what they were actually going to do, because this spells it out in plain English that they hate you. They do not value your rights. They want their toy so they can use it to prosecute people at a whim. The NFA is a draconian, outdated regulation that was formed by the same minds that thought it was a good idea to ban alcohol in this country. It resulted in massive amounts of organized violent crime. And in order to curtail that crime, they decided that they wanted to infringe through their taxing power on your Second Amendment rights. And we have lived under it since before my grandfather was born. That has been used to abuse, extort, imprison, and murder American citizens for decades. And this administration continues to support it. I asked Grok yesterday and this morning if it could validate whether or not the Department of Justice and the Trump administration had done this thing. And it said, oh yeah, we've logged it. Yeah, we got it. Let me flip over to X real quick. Go to my stuff. Hang on. Here we go. So I asked Grok, hey, did the DOJ, did the Trump administration defend the National Firearms Act? They said, yeah, sure did, just a couple days ago. And then I asked, did the Obama administration and the Biden administration do similar things? Yep, Biden did stuff. Biden used this same law to abuse American citizens and infringe on their Second Amendment rights. This is just a couple years ago an example of how the National Firearms Act has been used to screw with American citizens. Did Obama do it? Oh yeah, heck yeah, they did. Here's where the Obama administration used the same thing. The Trump administration is the same people doing the same things with the same tools. They want to put a good face on it and say, yeah, look how good we are, blah, 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 blah. And they'll convince people, like my dad. My parents love Pam Bondi. I'm like, are you guys even paying attention? But it doesn't surprise me, to be completely honest, that that folks from a generation that allowed the Hughes Amendment to go through missed something like this. Let's go to the chat. I need a break. Giveaway, first form, best ATF director joke. Wins value pack from first form. And I'm going to do my best to pick that winner today after the show, because I've been usually a day late on picking the winner. So preferential treatment on the live chat, and I'll let it sit for like an hour or two afterwards for folks to get their votes in, and then we'll announce it. Because if I wait too long, then people kind of lose track of it. The last 2 people that have won have not emailed me, so I ate their stuff. Just kidding, it's still there. Let's see what we got going on here. Criminals, good point here from Crayons. Criminals don't use SBRs and suppressors. They sure as heck don't. At least not in large quantities. 70-80% of all crime are handguns. Not all crime. Oh, all crime guns are handguns, yes. 70-80% of all crime guns are handguns. That's from Tom Grieve. Yep. Cheap and concealable. That's what criminals want, and that's what criminals use. I mean, you guys have seen although they're not all that concealable, the high point jokes. I love my high point folks. I have multiple high points myself, but the reason that a certain group of folks, shall we call them troubled youths, gravitate towards those particular weapons is because they are dirt cheap. They're also very reliable, but, here nor there. There's absolutely no such thing as a crime gun. I agree. The gun did not commit the crime. The person committed the crime. So, Big Slinkin, who gets up this early on a Sunday? Well, I've been up since 5, so there's that. I'm usually up every day between 5 and 6, and then Sundays I go to church. So I went to services, and then basically I went outside and fetched with my dog that is passed out right here next to me. If I give him a good run before we start the live stream, then he usually sleeps all the way through the live stream. And he's staring right at me. I mean, he's on the verge of sleeping. I can't show you because I'd have to reset the camera and everything. But yeah, if my voice wasn't so loud, he would be asleep. He's on the edge of sleep. Although, you know what I might be able to do? I have a piece of bacon. Hang on. You want this? Come up here. You want this? Come up here so everybody can see you. Yeah? You want this? Go up. Hey, don't go up there. No, don't go all the way up there. Hey, doofus, come here. You want this? Huh? You want this? Huh? He's afraid of those stairs. Oh, shoot. He's not going to come down. I'm going to have to go up there and get him. The only suppressor I've heard of used in a crime was Luigi Mangione. And I think the last documented, there was one shooting that occurred during the Trump administration where there was an NFA. I think that one was an actual NFA registered suppressor. But as far as I know, the last high profile incident before that one was an incident where it was actually a federal agent that had used a suppressor and the commission of a crime. So yeah, there's that. Shit, I'll sit for a piece of bacon. Just saying. Yeah, I know, right? I'm going to have to go get him. He is not going to come down. He's going to whine. Hey, dude. Hey, come here. Hey, come here. No bacon? He's such a silly animal. There's not to be. Yeah, so those stairs go to a loft. And so I used to sleep here. I used to, like, that used to be like a living space and all that sort of stuff. And this is all my office now. So that used to be a sleeping space. And now it's like a storage space. So, I guess maybe if I just chuck this. He's pissed. That wasn't even good enough. He has a box that he goes into. We had a problem for the he has a box that he goes into. We thought it was going to be really, really difficult to train him, but now he goes in there voluntarily. Like, that's his space that he goes to. So yes, those steps are steep, and that's one of the reasons that I barely use the space anymore. It's mostly storage at this point in time, but I'm actually going to be changing this office around a little bit. So I'm actually working on a space in the opposing room that it will be a larger set. And then this will change into kind of like an organizational receiving room where I can bring in and get things like project pieces, parts, ammunition, all that sort of stuff. And I'll have a larger desk with a backdrop and all that sort of stuff in the other room. So he's always kind of been afraid of steps. So yes, it is his cave that he goes into. So anyway, let's get off the dog for a second. He's a good animal. He's a good animal. But anyway, let's hear those jokes about the new ATF director. I have 2 videos on him, and the winner, or the best joke, wins, and you get a value pack from First Form. Link pinned in the chat above. He has sent forth his legion of cicadas to eat out our sustenance. Jeez. What are you going to do? No handrail on the stairs equals probable cause for incoming no-knock raid for municipal code violation. Yeah, I suppose. So how do you then justify those stairs that come out of the ceiling? There's also no municipal code here because this is township. So code does not really apply here. Tom Grieve. The stairs are in any other weapon. Yeah, for sure. I have fallen down them before, and you can't see it over here, but there is a spot on the wall that is the shape of Curtis's face that has been plugged from when I went down them. My wife fell down them once too. Yeah. So let's go back to this. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about is that there is going to be a movement. It's already sort of started, but let me see if I can find it. There's currently a movement to discredit anybody who's speaking against what the division, shall we say, in the MAGA movement. And I saved this figure from the whole thing's gonna have to load. But basically, the idea is that there is a large quantity of Trump of anti-Trump sentiment or anti-Trump accounts that are found to have been foreign. So this was a shot from my Instagram that I wanted to share with you guys. And this particular post had a whole bunch of evidence along with it, and I didn't save that stuff. But basically, there are lots of accounts that are going dark because they've now started showing where the country of origin is, and it turns out that there are a fair number of them that were hacktivist accounts or imposter accounts or foreign accounts that were pretending to push certain ideology for the purposes of clicks. And I think that probably X doing away with monetization might aid in those being tamped down a little bit. But this is going to be used by the administration to say that people like us that are voicing dissent are not real dissenters. They're going to basically blanket everybody who picks their issue and says, hey, you guys aren't doing enough good job on this, that, or the other, and say, it's all fake news, it's all fake, it's all a bunch of foreign influence that's trying to negatively impact the perception of, et cetera, and divide us and all that sort of stuff. I guarantee you this week, after this dumb move by the Department of Justice, you're going to have a whole bunch of folks that are going to come out and say, oh, yeah, well, it's actually not real, and it's just a bunch of people that are trying to get clicks and all that sort of stuff. I guarantee you it's going that way. And you've been warned. Look out for it. It's going to happen. It is absolutely going to happen. Where'd my chat go? So I can get back to you guys. I had to close something and I failed. The dog definitely, the comment is a dog prefers first form over bacon. No. I do love my dudes from First Form. I do really like their products, but they are not bacon. Their meat sticks are pretty close to bacon, but not quite. It's pretty hard to beat bacon, especially the bacon from the local hole in the wall down the road, because if you get their breakfast, like, I don't know how they smoke their own bacon, and it is so good. Like, my fingers smell like just smoked gristle right now, and it's awesome. He still hasn't eaten that piece of bacon over there. The ATF director said he wants to work with the gun community, sure, and the IRS wants to help you with budgeting. Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. The NSSF has come out saying how awesome this dude is, and I can show it to you. I guarantee you it's still up on their X profile because they're so out of touch they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, right here. Not front of their X profile, but right here. Yep. How awesome they think it is that this douchebag is going to become the possibly going to become the ATF director. They're basically saying welcomes the nomination of Cicada to lead the ATF. A career ATF agent is not the person that we want heading the ATF. We want somebody, hell, I'll do the job. We want somebody like Tom Grieve running the ATF. That's what we want. Yeah. Cicada rubs wings together from behind tree in anticipation. Nice. Yeah. I don't know. Does everybody everywhere have cicadas? I know that we're due for them here pretty soon. The last time they came out in like a really, really big swarm, like it was almost I was almost unable to film because it was so bad. The video was on. It was when CMMG came out with their 458 SOCOM. I forget what that thing was, what the thing was called off the top of my head. But if you watch that video, you can hear it. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's just cicada in the background constantly. The fake or foreign MAGA accounts on X, I've already started seeing videos about them. Yeah, I told you, it's going to start. Yeah. Mr. Gunslinger for the ATF director. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Mike would be able to do that. And Mike, if Mike or Tom becomes director of the ATF, I would like to head up Fat D. Please. Yeah, so somebody said they were out last year. So the thing about that is, like, there are some cicadas that come out, like, there are different broods and swarms, right? So they're on different cycles. So they come out, a portion of them come out every year. Different types come out in different cycles. But there's like a 17-year cicada, there's a 7-year cicada, and all that sort of stuff. And they're geographically not the same, right? So like somebody just said in the comments that the 17-year cicada in Kentucky was this past summer, right? Versus ours was like years ago. Spiky Mikey, yes, he's got my vote. Yep. They do make really good fishing bait, though. And I suppose that there is some allegory there for Mr. Cicada going to be the ATF director, or possibly being the ATF director. Now, look, I might be completely wrong. This dude could be a complete sleeper. He doesn't look like it. He looks like a flat-top jackboot. But I could be completely wrong. He could come out the day after his Senate hearing, his confirmation or whatever, and basically be like, yeah, machine guns for everybody, got the NFA and all that sort of stuff. You know, and at that point in time, I will apologize to the man. But I have no reason to believe that that is the case up to this point. Because the Department of Justice, the ATF, the administration as a whole has been infiltrated by a bunch of fucking redcoats. The British are back. All you need to look any further is what they've been doing last couple days, last couple weeks. It's more of the same. This administration, when it comes to their positioning on things like the National Firearms Act and various other aspects of anything that's any greater than your fuddy shotgun, is pretty much identical to the Biden administration. Cicada had nothing but praise from Dettelback. That's a great sign. He also said he also got up after Dettelback got out and said how awesome Dettelback was and how he was supportive of everything they wanted to do. Remember that we're talking about a dude that was an operationals. He was in charge of operations. So we're talking like the folks that literally go and take people's guns from them. This dude. That's going to be the director of the ATF, or very likely anyway, because I guarantee you those idiots in Congress are basically going to be like, oh, well, you know, I got to go along with whatever, you know, the powers that be say. And they're going to say, oh, well, we're super pro law enforcement. Back to blue and a thin blue line and all that sort of stuff. I guarantee it. Now, there's a comment here. I've never met a single ATF agent or supervisor that I would trust to have the back of the citizens. BATFE has been one of the most bootlicker agencies for the past 30 plus years. Here's the thing, right? The ATF used to be a division of the IRS. The ATF was supposed to collect taxes. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, right? They were supposed to collect the taxes. That's what they were supposed to do. They weren't supposed to be a big, bad, tier 1 law enforcement agency, and they still aren't, clearly, because they consistently try to do their operations unilaterally, and when you do that, you get situations like Ruby Ridge, Waco, et cetera, on down the line. Because they're trying to exemplify that they can handle their own stuff. I have said for the longest time that it will take an act of Congress to get rid of the ATF, right? I mean, not technically, but the laws that they enforce. It will take acts of Congress to get rid of those laws. That's why it was such a big deal when the Republicans stabbed us in the back in the big blow to backstab bill. Because we had an opportunity to take some of the toys away from them, some of the impetus at which they can go out and abuse and molest citizens. We had an opportunity. The Republicans didn't do it because they wanted to bow to an unelected bureaucrat and also make their fictitious timeline for July 4th big chest beating session. But, meh. The ATF, as far as the ATF could probably be disbanded, but somebody's going to enforce those laws. And that's why it's a big deal, that whole like ATF DEA merger type thing, is because we didn't want a whole bunch of extra funding to go to this sort of stuff versus like the ATF, its budget is relatively small compared to like greater FBI or DEA or, whatever it is. Relatively small. So it's a somewhat contained agency, and we kind of know where to look. I've had a pretty good experience with all the folks that I've had to interface with at the ATF. But I also know that for every good story that I've had, all the folks that I've worked with have been very helpful when I've had particular questions or something like that. But for every anecdote that I can give that was generally, 50-50 or positive, there are many, many instances of not that way. I mean, we've seen the video of actually, I think I have it, now that I think about it. Yeah. We've all seen this.
Taking here she is, taking photocopies of every page of my
I hear tell that
D&D
this
book
woman ended up getting
with all of my
fired.
customer data on it with her personal cell phone.
But yeah.
Welcome back, everybody.
And yes, that was a Mr. Guns and Gear video. I totally pirated it off of him because he was the only one who upscaled it properly. So I have not had bad experiences up to this point with ATF. But I know that there are lots of folks out there that have had problems. And I have lots of folks in the industry that tell me about their problems. I've had lots of folks that have contacted me asking my perspective on various aspects about something that the ATF did, because I've been doing this long enough at this point in time that I kind of get an idea of how that's going to work. Also, I do have to say that the ATF in the state of Ohio is relatively based as well. I know that that's an oxymoron, but it seems to me, and I'm not going to go into the depth of this, but it sounds to me like a lot of folks that cycle through the IOI positions at the Ohio offices have other responsibilities that they have to do. And then they basically all have to do a stint in paperwork duty. That's the way that I sort of understand it without getting super in the weeds, because, like, again, not going to name any names, but the folks that I've worked with, any problems that I've had, they've been pretty good about getting reasonable answers to me. But again, that's not everyone. Obviously, there's obviously a spectrum of activists in that organization. And there are some folks, one guy in particular I know that works for the ATF, that is, like, arguably a bigger gun guy than I am. It's just that the agency has been infiltrated by everything from political activists to just your, like, government fop, right? It doesn't help that the agency has been given the tools to be weaponized from subsequent generations of our ancestors. That explains why the dog ran and hid. He realized he was talking about the cicada, the ATF dog shooter. Oh my gosh, that one. Whew, Captain Seamus. That one might win. That one might win. I do like me a good ATF dog joke. We'll have to see if that one wins. And what I mean, guys, if you're just now tuning in, we have a giveaway going on with First Form. Value pack of their meat sticks. Value pack of their protein bars. Best joke about the ATF director wins. Kurt, did you get a deer this year? I basically, for the most part, only get to go gun hunting these days because I just simply don't have the time to do bow hunting anymore. So I have not gotten a deer this year. Gun season in the state of Ohio is stupid. It's like a week long, and then we get like an additional like weekend or something like that where we can go out. But it's for all intents and purposes, so it's a week long. It's an absolute mess. They wonder why we have the diseases that we have in the state of Ohio because nobody hunts the damn things anymore. You get those the EBT and the chronic wasting disease from population interaction problems. They're I know that the chronic wasting disease is a prion disease, but you transmit those by individual to individual contact. The way that you combat that is have a healthy hunting system. But they consistently screw with the bag limits. They make it hard to do. They make it, the caliber restrictions are stupid. Like, deer hunting in the state of Ohio is not a viable pastime. Like, bow hunters, yes. But, like, the gun season stuff, it is just, we have a decent harvest every year, but it is still just not what it could be. And I guarantee you that the disease problems that we have ripping through the state right now, I know somebody who's bagged a deer this year that tested positive for chronic wasting disease. He had to trash it all. Those problems will not cease until we get a real open hunting season in this state. They will continue to cycle through. There are other places that do not have the problems that we have, and we have those problems because we have a bunch of fuddy idiots running our game regulations at ODNR. I'm off my soapbox. Congressman Andrew Clyde told Mr. Guns and Gear that we've got some good things coming from Congress in January 26, and the next big, beautiful bill to be passed on a 51% vote in the Senate. Yeah, we'll see about that. And that's basically their last chance. If they don't pull off a big win with that one, then the midterms is going to be a bloodbath, absolute bloodbath. And you know what? I've said this before. I'll say it again. At this juncture, if something doesn't change, I'm okay with a divided government. I'm okay going back to complete gridlock. A impotent, gridlocked government is better than an active, infringing one. I would rather have a divided government that can't get anything done than one that continues to trample on the rights of American citizens. And that's what we've seen. We've seen no movement on the NFA stuff from this administration. They clearly, as we started out the live stream today, had an opportunity to go there. They didn't do it. And, you know, I'm okay with them losing one or more houses of government. The president will still be the president. So presidency minus one of the chambers of government, that spells complete and utter gridlock. And I'm okay with that. So, Republicans, you got one last shot. Your next big beautiful bill or whatever better have a complete gutting of the National Firearms Act in it. All the regulations gone, or you guys are going to have some major problems. And I'll be watching, and all my friends will be watching. And let me tell you, it better not, at this point in time, you better go big or go home. Because now it's not going to be good enough to just get rid of SBRs, AOWs, SBSs, and silencers. You're going to have to go farther. Somebody says, my friend got a 10-point buck with his 350 Legend AR. I do use the 350 Legend. I use a Ruger American with a, it's a Mod 1 from Wit Machine on the end of it. Yeah, it's their one that works with 9mm. Yeah, that's what it is. That is what is on my 350 Legend, and that is it's a relatively cheap gun. I actually got it through a project that I did years ago. And I really like that gun. It's super light. Jack G7 or J7, are you talking full auto also? No, I'm talking about grenade launchers at the fucking gas station, my friend. Comma, pause for effect. Adam's Cabin says, I'm going to have to watch this again. I just got back in. Yeah, hey, sorry about that. You know, it's very, it depends on the time of day, how everything shakes out, whether I go to the range or not today. It's kind of windy outside, so I'm not going to be able to do like a lot of filming today. So I actually have another project that I have to work on for my second channel today. I am a content creator for Total War Warhammer, and I have a project that I have to finish today that I'm going to be, basically the video is half done. I just have to record the second bit of it. So I'm going to work on that this afternoon, and then I'm going to peace out early today because my wife is... some of you guys know this, some of you don't. My wife's a pharmacist, and she is working today, but they close early on Sunday. So I'm going to be kind of like peacing out here early today to just hang out with my pregnant wife because she deserves to have some attention. So, I thought it odd when companies use 1/2x28 on a 350 Legend. No, I don't. I don't find that strange at all because there are two. Because for the most part, 350 Legend is it is a more powerful 357, basically, which is basically a 9mm bullet. And a 9mm bullet, when you look at like a PCC that is chambered in 9mm, it used to be half 36, and then basically a whole bunch of us threw an unholy shit fit about half 36 and why are companies using half 36 on their guns. And they're like, oh, well, we don't want people to be able to screw 5.56 muzzle equipment onto their 9mm gun. That was the argument why a bunch of guns were coming, 9mm PCCs were coming in half 36 thread instead of half 28. I was like, why don't you just make everything half 28? And by and large, most threaded equipment for rifles chambered in 9mm or bored for 9mm these days come in half 28. So for it to go from 350 to make the jump between 9mm bore and 375 bore, not really that big of a difference. So a half inch is fine. We're not talking about a Magnum rifle, right? There's plenty of meat in the barrel left to be able to support the suppressor. If we were talking about like a 300 Win Mag or something like that, yeah, then maybe we want a little bit more meat on the thread. We want that 5/8 diameter to be able to support that. 350 Legend isn't that powerful. So mounting a suppressor to that is fine. Yeah. Somebody says my 300 is 5/8. I'm assuming that you mean your 300 Win Mag. But also your 300 blackouts are going to be, and your 308s are going to be 5/8. There is a step above that one. I forget it off the top of my head. Something about Dan Crenshaw. I don't really like that dude. So we're just not even going to go there. I had read Excalibur Barrel co-noticed. Oh, Excalibur Barrel Company noticed belling on the half 28. Not sure if it was from heavy firing suppress or what to make a. Sorry. You know, I'd have to look at the data specifically related to that. And I'd have to also echo your question. If they saw some belling on a suppressed 350 Legend, I want to know how many rounds they fired. Did they fire 20,000 rounds? If they fired 20,000 rounds through the thing, then big whoop. I think that you should be considerably more concerned about the shape of the lands and grooves in your throat before you're worried about the muzzle, because that's going to lead to alignment problems when it comes to how, if your bullet's doing this as it's moving down the bore, or if it's got some attitude problems when it's going into the blast chamber of your suppressor, or if it's got any attitude problems as it exits the muzzle, then that's going to be a big problem. And I would say that I want to know what the shape of that chamber looks like before I start worried about the tip, because a lot of cheaper manufacturers, like if you put their stuff under a scope, you can see the wear patterns, and that is ultimately going to end up leading to problems at the other end in a couple ways. One, you're going to beat up the end of your muzzle quite a bit, because that bullet's going to be coming out and wanting to go sideways a little bit. And then also it's going to result in those bullets sometimes getting too close in some instances to those to those baffles. And if you get too close to the baffle, you don't actually have to touch it. The disturbance on the surface of that bullet can push itself around. We call it the Mach angle. The compressed atmosphere around it can push the bullet around. So what that means is that you end up having to use a bigger bored can to not have accuracy, or in the worst case scenarios, baffle strikes and damage to your can. So, yeah, we'll come back to that here in a second. Will the new ATF director arrest ATF agent Brian Higgins for the murder of the Boston PD officer after a failed attempt at framing Karen Reed for said crime? I don't know. And then Jack literally took the words right out of my mouth. Don't forget about Brian Malinowski. Don't forget about Tate Adamayak. Don't forget about Justin Irving. Don't forget about Matthew Hoover, et cetera, on down the line. You are getting what you are voting for. Stop crying. Yeah, I hear that. So when it comes to voting, this go around, I've never missed an election. I have left stuff blank before, and I guarantee you that the Republicans don't shape up. There's a lot of spaces that I'm going to be leaving blank in 2026 in November. So, anyway. Here in New York, no suppressors in any way. They want us disarmed, but if not, might as well let us go deaf. Sorry, I'm dying here, guys. I might have to hop off here. I would argue, so I hear a lot of folks that, and I'm not saying that you're doing this, but I hear a lot of folks say things along the lines of like, oh, well, this doesn't really affect me because we can't have NFA items in my state anyway, and blah, 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 blah. Well, if they become, and I think Tom did a video about this where he was, Tom Grieve did a video about this where he was talking about the different classes of the NFA falling away, and like, my state, for instance, relies on the NFA and basically says something along the lines of like, you can't have a suppressor unless you follow federal law. Well, if federal law falls away, then where's now the new limbo bar, right? That will, the striking down of the National Firearms Act will cause a ripple effect where those laws will either have to be clarified one way or the other. Like it, so in my state, we'll just keep with it. If the Ohio Revised Code says you can't have this thing unless you follow federal law, well, now you got to, well, there is no federal law, so I'm good, or there is no federal law, so I'm bad. The law, they will have to go back through and clarify that to either say you can have them or you can't have them, right? So given the situation in the state of Ohio, I think very quickly that would be rectified to say, yeah, just forget about that whole thing, and it's all good. On top of that, there would be massive lawsuits because there are millions of these things. So when you think about, well, hey, we don't have those in my state, X, Y, Z, so this doesn't really impact me. Yeah, well, that will end up being revised at some point in time. And then you will also have another argument to be made. Well, hey, why am I a second-class citizen because I live in the state of New York when the people in Pennsylvania right across the border can have those things, right? So there's instantaneous lawsuits. The Bill of Rights cannot be repealed through voting. You are correct. It would require a constitutional amendment to do that. need to all get out to vote in the midterms to prevent the Democrats from taking power. I disagree. I absolutely disagree. At this juncture, the Republicans have not demonstrated that they should maintain power. And if they don't do something very soon to repeal the National Firearms Act, then I'm okay with the Democrats taking one of the houses of government. And that would render the government completely impotent. Nothing would get done between here and 2028. And at the current pace things are going, they've proven that they can't be trusted with the power. Hey, we're going to do the X, Y, and Z, pro-Second Amendment. We love you guys, et cetera, vote for us. And then you get there and you don't actually do it. Well, fuck you then. You had your opportunity. You got probably one more opportunity to do that in your 2026 big bloated backstab bill. Completely repeal the National Firearms Act and the Gun Control Act. Do that, and maybe we'll show up and vote for you. Other than that, you've pretty much showed that you don't deserve the reins of power, and gridlock is better than infringement. Maybe you'll do better in 2028. Anyway, guys, I've got something going on with my upper respiratory infections flaring back up, so I'm going to go ahead and break it off for today. Don't forget that we have a giveaway going on with First Form for the next couple hours. I'll leave it open. Best joke about the new ATF director wins. We've already got a contender. I'll be checking it in a couple hours after I finish my video for my second channel, and hopefully we'll see another video from the VSO Gun Channel. I have a pinned link listed for First Form. Anything that you buy from them generates sales to the channel, commissions, so you get good stuff, and you also support the channel when you do it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see you on another one here at the VSO Gun Channel. And he still hasn't gotten that piece of